What's up, guys? Welcome back to Game Dev with Nick. I just wanted to quickly show you guys my sardine, or my anchovy rather, that I made. I'm not sure what the difference is between an anchovy and a sardine, but I just want to show you in the spirit of using like so few vertices. What I've done, if you Control A, I guess you don't need to. You can see in the bottom left, I've used 41 vertices, so that really is 82 to do this guy, and I almost feel like I'm using too much. This is basically going to be just a tiny little fish that swims around in like the coastal area, and I'm going to make it so they kind of spawn if the player's in proximity to keep it super tight. I don't just want a bunch of sardines everywhere all the time. That's ridiculous. I'm only just going to spawn a couple by the shoreline if the player is near the shoreline, if that makes sense to you, just to save on frame rates. And also to save on frame rates, I'm just making it super, super simple, vertex-wise. And the style that I'm going to be building my game is like, I'm going to be relying super heavily on this trick called normal mapping. And I kind of talked about it for a sec last video, and it's the idea that I'm going to take this object and I'm going to put it into the game, and it looks really, really simple looking, and people will be like, oh, that fish isn't real, look, you can see all the ribs and stuff. But what you can do is you can when you texture it, it'll look better when it's textured, first of all, but when you texture it, I can then go in and I can make this like extremely vertex heavy, super round, super fish-like object after that, and then I can retexture it with like the light for that one, and then I can take all those textures and apply them to this one. So basically what I'm saying, to sum that up, is that I can trick people into thinking that the light is reflecting off of it and there's a bunch of vertices, but actually underneath it all, it's a veneer of very few vertices. So that's an awesome trick that you kind of have to use these days. And I didn't use that at first. So we're going to be trying to do that. So that's the sardine, but we're going to finish up on the lobster. Of course, I just wanted to show you guys kind of the style in which I was building the lobster in. Okay. So there's a lobster. I feel like I could almost keep it here, but I wanted to have a couple legs and a couple antennae. The lobster is going to be more complicated than the sardine. There's going to be fewer of them, and it's going to I'm hoping maybe I can go really, really big in the normal mapping trick direction and really make it look good. So we're just going to, I think we're going to add, the lobster has 3 legs on both sides. I think we're just going to add 2 and kind of be that guy. So let's grab the edge loop tool. Oh man, this is a tough decision. So right now I need to make the decision of, do I want to make this geometry more complex? And I think I don't, actually. I think I really don't. I want to keep it so ridiculously small on the vertex front. I'm just going to GY this in a little bit, make it look a little better. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Yeah. So we're not going to subdivide. We're not going to do the edge loop. We're going to do what we did in this one. We're going to just subdivide out this one, because the legs come out of the bottom segment. We're going to have to do it to both of these. So we're going to go to face mode, and we're going to hit X, and then we're going to delete faces, and we're going to do it for both of those. Oh, we lose this one, don't we? Well, there's got to be a better way to do that. I'll have to look into that after this. So we'll just reconnect this one. And we're going to go to edge mode and subdivide these and these. go back to vertex mode, and we're going to be pulling the legs out of like these pockets basically. And the legs are so small that I'm going to have to use more vertices than I think I might want. But that's okay. We'll start doing that now. So we're going to extrude this on the y-axis EY. And we're going to bring this way in by scaling it in towards itself. And then we're going to move it up again on the, well, I guess the z-axis and then the y-axis. Maybe we'll leave it like that. I want to bring these two bottom ones out a little bit though. G, Y. And then we'll do basically the same thing on this side. E, Y. And that's just to make that first initial leg spot. G, Z. G, X. And then maybe we'll pull these two in a little bit. G, X, and then we'll pull these ones, these two out, like we did the other one. Oops, G, Y. That looks like it's okay. I want them to kind of come out of the same spot, though. In fact, I think that maybe this one should be bigger. We'll move it on the z-axis, and then on the x-axis. Then we'll scale it up. And then we'll move this one down, I think. Move it over first, then move it down. Alright, so you can see how we've made holes now for our legs. Yeah. I'd say that's about right. There's really supposed to be one here too, but we're just gonna, for vertex purposes, we're gonna leave the other leg out. Alright, so what does a lobster leg even? What does a lobster leg look like? They're kind of spindly. This segment's larger than the segment after it, though. Thinking like Zoidberg. Here, I got a picture up here now. It's just sort of like yeah, it's not too complicated. I just want to see how it fell. How did they walk? They sort of like tinker, like dink, dink. Alright, so we'll pull this out. Man, I almost want to make it smaller. Yeah, we'll make this smaller. We'll raise just the bottom ones on the Z. Change these ones. Move these ones over. We'll do the same thing on the other one. Alright, now we can extrude. So they go up a little bit, I think, first. But is it up and back, or is it... I think it is up and back. Which seems a little bit counterintuitive. So we will pull it, let's see, we want to rotate it along the x-axis first. Then we want to pull it out of the y-axis. And then we want to pull it up on the z. Move it back on the x. That's about right. We just got to do that more, basically. So GY, GZ, GX. Okay, now we can, I think that looks about right. One thing I'm going to do, tighten it up a little bit. We'll bring this one in. This one. Also maybe make these two go down. Oh, I don't know. These two over, I think. Okay, that's the first segment of the first leg. And again, the power of having the mirror tool on is that it's just doing the second one exactly the same way for me, which is so nice. So now we have to bring... These bendy parts are difficult. I'm not going to animate this leg though. Like the lobster isn't really going to be animated very much. Maybe the claws will wiggle or something. But as they move, they're just going to kind of move along the bottom. They're not going to move their legs. And that's because that's just too much calculation for my game to be doing. I'm planning on having it do a lot of calculation, so I just need to save every single thing I can. But if you want to have if you're designing a game like Lobster Run or something, you want to take the time to have your lobsters have moving legs, you know. But if you just want like a resource for the player to grab out of the water, they're not even going to ever look at whether... or I guess the thing is, they're going to care about something else besides the lobster legs moving, you know? They're going to be like, I don't care about the lobster legs, why didn't he spend time on... whoops. Oh god, what have I done? Why didn't he spend time on the GZ thing that mattered? I'm procrastinating for the hard part. So we're going to extrude this one out the Y. And I think this one's going to be like a supporting one. And we're going to end up wasting a little bit of vertices for that reason. Pull these ones back a little bit. Yeah. We'll extrude this one all the way down, I think. So extrude, pull this one out a ways. Oh, interesting. You can lock it to a vertex by hitting the middle mouse button on the closest axis that it's on. So this would be X, this would be Y, this would be Z. And you middle click to unclick. That's really cool. So we'll do Y axis. So that's our first leg. It's about the right length, I'd say. And we'll pull it down on the Z axis. And we'll pull it back, pull it forward on the X axis. That's too far forward. And then we're going to pull it back on the Y axis, I think. See how that looks. Yeah, that looks right. And I think we're just going to clamp it off with the F key. Nice. And I think to save a little bit of time, one thing we can do is just duplicate this. I don't see any reason why not. So we're just going to select all the vertices here that we've just added. And we're going to... What do you do? Copy and paste? I can't remember. Let's try it. Copy and paste. Oh god. Okay, so you can't copy and paste. Shift D to duplicate, maybe? Yes, Shift D. Shift D to duplicate. And then we can line it up here with our other guy, like a space shuttle. Don't screw it up, Bill. Or we're never leaving Mars. Does that look about right? Yeah. So then we'll just connect these vertices. Like meow. Oh god. And then let's try our little... No. See, if you try to do the F key and add faces all at once, I just find that the normals get screwed up. And that's why I do it one at a time. It might be different now, I don't know. That was true for me before. And so I'm just sort of traumatized. Now I do the normals one at a time. And it seems to work when I do it one at a time. I don't have to go back and torture myself. Alright, so now we got our old Mr. Lobster pants. So let's render it, see what it looks like. There we go, super simple, let's count how many vertices we used. So 100 vertices, that's a lot for me. I don't like using 100 vertices, and you can see how many we're using here with the legs. Oh man. What I like to do now is I like to actually see if I can just drop some vertices out. Now that I have the general shape and it's about what I like, can we just start cutting stuff down? I don't think I can. I'm getting better. I used to be able to, after I'd make a model, I would just, it would be cutting season here. I think I can combine these two if I want. So this is the merge stage, is what I call this. We don't need this section, I think. This is where I get super skimpy and I start merging things. So we're going to merge these two segments. So you select two, then you do Alt-M, and then you can choose where to merge at. So you can merge them in the middle. I like to merge at the last. That's kind of what I do. I start at the first one, and I second click on the one I want to merge to, and I do last. This makes sense. So I'm just doing select first, select second vertex, Alt-M, select last. First, second, Alt-M, select last. And I cut out all those vertices, and now we have 101 vertices. See what I'm saying? And when I render it, it looks about the same. So I don't know. If you want your lobster to be more detailed, maybe this isn't the look. But if you want your if what you really want is to have your lobster really just not take up a lot of data at all, I don't know if I can go get better than this. We could collapse this segment down. The reason you want to do these, for whenever there's a joint being transitioned to from one joint to the next, you want to have like a bunch of little vertex rings. Like this is a vertex ring, one that goes around. Like these two are two vertex rings essentially, and it's because when you animate, you need that for it to look good as you morph and flex the joint. But because we're not animating, we don't need to do that. So we're just gonna collapse it down to save on even more vertices. And I'm sure when I'm done, I'm not even gonna have collapsed it down enough as I should have. But there we go, we lost one. And now we can lose the other. And that'll get us back into the 90s, at least, which is a good... If your model has less than 100 vertices, that's good. It's good for my game. It might be horrible for your game. Man, I could maybe even collapse these, but I'm not gonna. Sometimes when you have a rectangle, you can turn it into a triangle. Like right here, I could collapse these if I want. I'm not sure I want to. So see what that looks like. Yeah, I don't know. Let's look at it the other way. Yeah, I kind of like the later. So the question is, do you mind the latter one? Because if you don't mind it, you should go with it because it's less vertices. Although the shadow gets kind of screwed up here. So is it actually less vertices? I don't actually know. To alleviate that, I think we're going to pull just this vertex in on the y-axis. So it could be that's... Well, see, the thing is that this is a face, not... This is actually two triangles. There's actually another edge right here that's not showing up. I think we'll move in the tail a little bit. Let's see what that looks like now. Yeah, I think I like that more. It's tough to say. Yeah, I'm going to undo it. We're going to go back to our original thing with the other one. Oh, that shading thing's still there, regardless. Oh well. We're only gaining one vertex by doing that. Another thing I can do, I can make the legs, instead of being rectangles at the end, I can make them just collapse down entirely. So I think that's what we're going to do. Oops, I think I minimized. There we go. I haven't figured out how to like collapse like an edge on an edge. Should we just try to do that right now? See if it's possible. If I do this, it'll collapse to 1 point. But we'll try it anyway. Yeah, see. Is that what I want, though? Yeah, that is what I want, actually. That's even better. So we just accidentally saved another vertex. Let's just make sure. Yeah, they're kind of spindly, right? It's kind of like creepy and like pointy. Yeah, lobsters are totally creepy and pointy. That's perfect. I kind of want to do it to this one now, too. I already brought these down. We're going to do it again, because it's pointy and creepy, and it saves data. Very cool. Let's look again and see what we got, what we're working with now. So we're down from 106 to 85, and we really didn't lose any quality. So that's why I do this merging stage, which seems ridiculous. But this one's popping out too much, I believe. So we'll pull that one in on the y-axis. We'll pull it up on the z-axis a tad. And look at that again. And there you go, guys. 20 minutes. Nice. 23 minutes. So, ooh, you know what we have time for? The antenna. You could also make the lobster face way more detailed than this. It's just basically a couple vertices. Anyway, where did the... Oh, yeah. Oh, they're totally weird, the way that they work. They come out, and then they, like, flop around everywhere. Ugh, lobster antennae are so weird. So we're going to do a triangle with this one. We're going to pull out a triangle, and I believe their antennae come out of the bottom part. I'm going to look at a picture real quick. Let's see, lobster. Go to Maine. Eat a lobster. Oh man, lobster faces are really weird looking. I kind of want to make it now. But for brevity's sake and for the sake of the end of the video, we'll stop the end of the video at the antenna and then I'll decide. So they come out of like the tips-ish. Right around here, I guess. So we have to decide how to make a triangle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide these two edges. That's what we're going to do to start. So left click, right click, subdivide. Maybe I didn't want to subdivide that last one. All right, let's look at vertex mode again. So now what I want to do is I want to create like a hole here, so I have to delete this face. And that might create some problems. Yep. It does. I want to turn clipping back on, but I'm afraid I'll lose this. But we'll try it in a minute. Let's hit F here, and we'll hit F to here, and then we'll fill in this one. And then this is the one we're going to extrude. We're going to scale it way down in on itself. We're going to move it up on the Z-axis, then out on the Y. and X. And now that we have a starting point, I'm going to move this one up a little bit, and this one over a little bit. And then we can extrude this one. Let's try that trick with the middle click. Yeah. Oh, what an awesome trick. Oh, that's the Z. Oh, because the Z and the X are so close. It's swapping between them, see? Oh, and see that dotted line? That's how you line it up. That's interesting. So we're just going to do a little bit on the X-axis. And then we're going to... See, they can swing around and stuff. But ours, I think, are just going to be static. So we're going to pull ours backwards. So we're going to extrude, we're going to rotate this one, and we're going to rotate along the Y-axis. It takes kind of a second to understand. Oh, I don't even know if that's the right axis then. Rotate on. Rotate on the X-axis. See where that gets us. Oh, no, I guess it's the Z. But there is an axis that you can rotate on. And then we're going to extrude again on the Y. So again, that's middle click. Allows you to snap to a thing like that. Or you could just do EY, and it would already be snapped. It's just another way to do it. So GZ to pull it up. Oh, did that pull it into the crustacean? No, that's about right. Actually, I think. I just want to make sure they're not overlapping on themselves. So, right, like I was saying, a middle click, left click. I'm sorry, middle click, shift, middle click, middle click, shift, middle click. That's how I move around. G. That's not quite right. We gotta pull these two out. And this one's not quite right. G, X, G, Y. And then I gotta bring that one in actually. So G, Y more. Oh, what just happened? I hit the wrong button. G, Y. This one's gotta come in. G, X, G, Y. This one's got to come up. G, Z. That still doesn't look quite right, does it? We got to pull the middle one in. So G, Y, G, X. Then this one's too far out. So G, Z, I think, actually. Alright, so now that we have that, let's grab the loop. I can't remember how I used to be able to click on one of the edges and grab the entire loop. Maybe it's like Alt or something. Oh, it is Alt. Oh, awesome. Okay. So one way, if you want to select the entire edge loop, you can just hit Alt on an edge. It doesn't work in this case because it gets confused down here, because we have these other ones coming off, but it'll probably work on this one. See what I'm saying? This one. Oops, this one is what I meant. Probably works on this one. Nah, because it gets confused here. But if you have a true edge loop, it looks like it works perfectly. So let's try it on the triangle. Alt, left click, yep, that worked. And here's where we're going to really extrude it out. So we're going to extrude it on the Y, I think, to begin with. And then we're going to G that down on the X coord. Not trying to get too nuts with the antenna. They're quite long, actually. Looking at the lobster. We'll rotate this set on the Z-axis. And then we'll, maybe a little more. And then we'll extrude it again, like out here or something. And we'll make it come to a point as well. Actually, you can just do Alt-M, center. Let's take a look. The antenna. Yeah, kinda. Nice. So that's our thing, you guys. Let's see if we can look at it better. Rendering. What are the render options? I want to look at it on a different background. Not exactly sure how to do that. I've done it before. I've been having pretty good luck figuring out things as I go so far. But I think this time, not so much. It's like render options, probably. Oh, cancel. No, God, I want to save that. So where's this? What's happening? Oh, I see what happened. We want to go back to the modeling tab. Texture paint. Oh, we get to look at it in pink, I guess. That's good. That's good enough for now. Pink's kind of like red. So, yeah. And at this point, I would save it. I wouldn't... One thing I would do is... Well, we can just do it now. But one thing I would do is... you have to eventually apply the modifier. You can't do it in edit mode. You have to do it in object mode. This is where you switch it between edit mode and object mode. And when you go to object mode, you can't select individual vertices anymore. That's basically the difference between that. So now if we applied it, now it would work, and it would go away. And you see what I'm saying? And now you're like, oh God. The problem with doing that is that now I can't. Now when I go back to edit mode, see what I'm saying? Now I'm editing individually. So that's how I bring just one of the antennae up, for example. That's not what I want to do though, because I want to keep going on this lobster. But so what you could do is if you are like, I'm ready to put this in my world, but I'm not done with it, and I want to go back and I want to keep mirroring, you can do a save as another file, and then you can export that saved as file essentially, and then you can come back into your main lobster file. You can keep editing, you can keep adding detail, and then you can create a texture, you can create a normal map, and then you can make it look good, even though it has very few vertices rather. So, and I think I probably went overboard on that video, didn't I? No, we're about right. So that's video 3, you guys. I'm feeling like I'm about done with the geometry of this lobster. So maybe there'll be a video 4 for texturing, and maybe there won't be. If we do texturing, I'm going to be basically showing you how to draw seam lines. You can do it automatically. Probably do it automatically right now. They're not going to do that, but you can choose exactly where to cut your. It's like a cardboard box. You have to. Initially, it's like a flat thing that you like fold up into like an origami object like this. Like imagine it like an origami. Like this is a flat piece of paper that you fold up. So where do you cut the lobster? And it matters where you cut it, because you have to cut it places where the player can't see it, because you'll be able to see in the texture where the cut is. So you might want to throw it on the belly if it's always going to be on the shoreline, but I think maybe I'll throw it. I think maybe I'll change the texture up from the top to the bottom, and when your texture changes, that's a good place to throw your seam line. Anyway, we'll get into that. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed the lobster building series, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. This is mostly for people who are beginners to intermediate. It'll be pretty slow for people who are advanced, so probably should have said that in the beginning. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. Have a good one.